So, Shams, who was the teacher of the poet Rumi, had an epiphany at one point in his life. He was a young man, woke up one morning and just knew that his life needed to be different. And the story is told that he takes his parents, his family, down to the edge of the water, points across the water and says to them, "This is where you belong, and this is where I must go." And he leaves, not knowing if he'll return or who he'll be should he return. We often have those moments in life, those moments when we are clear that the land that we're on is no longer our land, and the shore on the other side of the ocean is where we belong. Yet in that journey, we leave behind the ones who know us and the ones we have come to love, the ones who we thought perhaps were our tribe, or the metaphor I like to use, our choir. Mm-hmm. Shams understood this, and here's what he also understood. He understood that in the journey across the ocean, what we're doing is creating an opportunity to meet others who we may never have met any other way. That during that crossing, during any major transition, there's going to be a time when our choir, our tribe, is going to leave us. And things are no longer as they have been. And we don't yet know who the other tribe will be. We don't yet know who we are becoming fully. And so it's impossible to know who is going to come to join us on that other shore. So this journey of navigating a graceful transition requires faith, requires a kind of courage, and a tenacity to persevere even when the choir has become very quiet. Even when we feel as if we might be a little too alone for a temporary amount of time. That's the conversation we wanted to bring to you today, is this notion of how we navigate through the potential loneliness or the quietness or the sudden shift of those around us when we make the choices that are really our choices to make, moving toward the life we most want to create, or the work, or the love, or the passion we most want to create.
Yes, well said. So I'm Karlee Fain, health and life coach.
And I'm Siriois. I forgot to introduce myself. Hi,
we got so into it. We jumped right in. I'm
so excited to share this story.
I like it.
Oh well.
Well, no, it's a great story, and I think if we start, kind of from the beginning, it's this awareness that when a shift happens, and to feel that isolated feeling, or to feel like I don't quite fit in where I used to, but I haven't found my new tribe or my new choir yet, it makes you normal. Like, I want to acknowledge that, because I think it can feel isolating. It can feel like something's wrong, or questions start to come in, doubt starts to creep in around, well, does this mean I'm on the right path? Does this mean I should turn back? Can I turn back? Sometimes we can't. So just kind of pausing for a moment and acknowledging that, great, that's the first step. Like, that's part of that initial transition.
Yeah. I just was speaking to a woman this morning who retired a few years ago, and in this few-year journey, 2 or 3 year journey since her retirement, things have gotten very quiet for her because her normal colleagueships, her circles of support and daily connection no longer exist in the same way.
Right.
And she hasn't yet identified her driving sort of passion moving forward, so she's not sure which groups to connect to. So life has become still, which is not a bad thing, and yet can be a lonely thing. So just to acknowledge. To acknowledge to start.
Yeah, and that it's a temporary phase, and it's something that we can move forward through with just a little bit of awareness, and that's what Maria and I were talking about earlier, is that sometimes it's just beginning to consciously shed light on an abstract feeling of feeling alone. So that can be, it's kind of muddling through our head throughout the day. That can just be this low-grade sense of isolation that's happening. But if we kind of take it out of the dark for a moment and we unpack it and look at, well, who do I really want to be spending time with? We can begin to break that down into some doable steps.
So there are a few that we talked about that are really similar in the coaching world and in the psychology world. Making conscious choice about who we actively want to be connected to, which sometimes means saying goodbye to those who really don't serve us any longer. Which could be its own heartbreak, which we're happy to talk about during our workshop at Kripalu in early June.
Yeah.
Moving toward what you love. Like, if you love poetry, get yourself to those poetry readings. If you love art, dancing, writing, sculpting, horseback riding, mountain biking. Follow the track of what you love. You'll meet people who love something similar, right? And also the kind of sort of opposite of that, trying new things, experimenting,
right,
playing with life, playing with how you spend the energy in your day.
I love that because it's about not taking everything so seriously, which I don't know about you, but for me it's really easy to do. To me, my life and my work feels so important all the time, and it is. But to have a sense of playfulness and experimentation with it,
right?
To bring in that that voice of curiosity, right? So to lean a little bit towards what we're curious about and allow to have this playful sense.
Yeah, when I divorced a few years ago, and my tribe was shifting, and I had lots of pockets of empty time that were unusual for me. I wasn't accustomed to knowing what to do on those kinds of evenings or those kinds of mornings. I found myself thinking, oh God, what fun thing could I try that actually probably will terrify me?
I'm already scared anyway.
I
might as well go for it.
So,
right. Yeah.
I decided not to run a 13, what is that, a half marathon? Not to run that thing. I decided not to go into pottery because I'm terrible at art. I made all these choices at first of things not to try, and then landed on a few things to actually try, which is like I bought a road bike and started road biking again, right? Got back into the Pilates scene because that was meaningful to me in my 30s, sort of reinvigorating something that I loved in the past.
I love that, and I also love, and I've heard you speak to this before, Maria, the idea that when building a choir, it doesn't have to be people that we know at first, that we can turn towards the authors, the writers, the poets, the singers that speak to our soul, and to fill up on that too in those quiet moments of reflection.
Right.
It can be a person living or dead that we may have never met, whose words speak to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't want to diminish how painful it can be to have our choirs shift.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we'll discuss when we're together at Kapalo is how we actually become more of our own choir member, which is really the root of feeling connected and as if we belong in life. So moving toward that place of clarity and coherence.
And having our own back. That's what I think of. It's like having our own back. Of course, we want a tribe that has our back, but to have our own is a rich feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe a little challenge from this video before we close. What is one novel, small, brave step you can make today toward invigorating a new choir for yourself?
Yeah, post it in the comments. We want to see it and speak with you about what that might look like.
Also know that should you decide to come to the retreat at Kapalo, which is that first week in June, it's a 4-day retreat, you're likely to find people who have similar ideas about what choir could actually be.
Absolutely. And we'll be there. We'll be singing for you. So we'll be there.
Well said.
Wonderful. Well, have a great day.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.